Boker Tov, good morning. Today's Friday, January 19th, Erev Shabbat, Parshat Bo. The Torah describes the plague of darkness as being one that was intense. Not merely a regular old darkness, but it was Choshech Afela. The Torah describes this sort of this deep, dark darkness that Yamesh Choshech, you could feel the darkness. And that at one point during the plague, people could not, that individuals could not even see their very brother. People could not get up or sit down. Whatever position you were in, they were stuck. It was that intense and thick a darkness that they were paralyzed, the Egyptians, where they were, and they could see nothing. The Torah also says, but for all the children of Israel, they had light. And Moshe Votam. And one Midrash says, don't read Moshe Votam as meaning in their own habitations, as Moshe Votam means their habitations, not as in Goshen, but actually in the Egyptians' habitations. And in the mind of the Midrash, of various versions of Midrash, the Israelites had access to the world of their Egyptian taskmasters. They went into their homes. And they could see all the things that they had. Maybe they were making a list. They were casing the joint so they could make a demand later on, as the Midrash lays out for us. But that they had full visibility into their world. I want to share with you the outcome of that and the fact and what they did and didn't do. And it's really taught a very beautiful teaching of Samson Raphael Hirsch. Here's my freehand translation from the Hebrew. I didn't have the German in front of me, but I had the Hebrew and my own freehand translation. This now proves, he says, the morality and values of the nation. Over 3 days in which their taskmasters were in the depths of blindness and planted in their places through this darkness, given over totally to their kindness, dependent on other people. For 3 days in a row, all of Egypt's possessions were laying there unprotected in their homes. Yet not a single Jew took the opportunity for revenge. And no Jew touched his property, from a thread to a shoelace, a reference to Avraham Avinu, not taking any booty from war when he goes to fight to save Lot. At that time when Egypt received its ability to see once more, and they saw all their possessions whole, without damage, in the place where they left them, God caused them to understand the moral greatness of this people. The psukim that follow shortly afterwards describe that God gave the chen ha'amazeh, the grace of this people in the eyes of the Egyptians, that they thought highly of us and of Moshe too. And here, Rav Hirsch says it's because of this. It wasn't just magical dust that was sprinkled on them to suddenly make them like us. It was actually they were impressed with our moral stance. In the end, this understanding overpowered their feelings of repulsion towards the Hebrews, which they had had until now. And this is what made the man Moshe and great in the eyes of Egypt, more than the miracles that Hashem performed, more than the miracles that God had performed. The most impactful thing was the fact that the Israelites could be in the house of their taskmaster enemies and not take a thing and not cause harm themselves. God had his plans, and they would be freed, right? And they would eventually receive some of those things as gifts. But they didn't lose themselves and their moral compass in this moment to, even though you could call it spoils of war, to take a thing. That is a high moral position that our ancestors carried out, and that to this day, except for a few exceptions, we've heard of some exceptions in the battles in Gaza, with a few soldiers causing damage when videoing themselves. As a whole, the moral army of Israel is not doing that. Those were unfortunate side stories to otherwise an army that is there to bring the safety and security to defeat an enemy, but otherwise leading a moral, carefully committed, ongoingly committed presence there, one that we can be proud of. We can be proud of knowing all actually the caution that they are indeed taking. This message about the Israelites, whether back from the time of Egypt or what we know about our brothers and sisters right now who are fighting, this is what we hold on to, and this is what we teach our children. This is what we teach our children. May God enable us to continue to lead a high moral calling, and in any given moment, in all the moments in which we face whatever we face, to retain it and maintain it to the good of ourselves and the good of God and the good of all the people around us. Wishing you all Shabbat Shalom.